Just a couple of homework pieces. I asked you guys and gals to please turn your cell phones off. Let's keep them off for the next couple hours. You just want to take 30 seconds and put down where you are right now. That's great. We want you to make sure that you take a lot of notes. We're going to cover a lot of information. We're going to be done at 11:30, quarter to 12 at the latest. We're going to be in and out of here. So we're going to get that taken care of. So without any further ado, let's all get up. Get up, get up, get up, get up, get up, get up. Let's get up. Get your hands together. Get your hands together. Power it up. Hands together. Come on. Fire it up. Fire it up. Faster. The faster you go, the more money you're going to make this year. On 3, 1, 2, 3. All right. Let's go. Let's go. Woo! I want to set the stage. I want to set the stage. Just think about this as we talk for the next few minutes here. Your present circumstances don't determine where you can go. They merely determine where you start. Your present circumstances, where you are right now in your life, doesn't determine how far you can go. It only determines where you start. In October, the end of October, it's probably about the 31st of October, we had a sales meeting at our office. And basically I said to the staff that we're going to work on running through the finish line as a company. Traditionally, in real estate, and this is my 40th year doing this, so I know about traditions. Most companies, coaches, etc., have you start building your business plans at the end of October, first part of November. It's my belief that when you start to do that, you start to turn your mind off a little bit toward what's possible in the year that you're still in. So I asked the staff not to do that. And we focused on running through the finish line and making that December of 2012, the best productive December we possibly could. So let me give you some numbers. In December of 2011, you can write this down, we opened 95 transactions, which is pretty decent, not bad for December 2011. We opened 95 transactions for $850,000 worth of gross commission income. 2012, we opened 156 transactions because of your effort, energy, excitement, and enthusiasm for $1.4 million in commission income. $600,000 more of commission income that you earned in that month just because you ran through the finish line. Give yourselves a big hand. Congratulations. It's fantastic. Powerful. Powerful. Instead of working 11 months, they worked 12. And you'll see later as we talk a little bit about the numbers how that can actually affect what's going on. As a company, we closed 35% more business in the year using the systems and goals and procedures as an organization than we did in 2011. And 2012 was the absolute best year in the history of the company, barring 2006, barring 2007. We blew it off the handles by 35%. Give yourselves a big hand. Congratulations. So I wrote down here, it is common for people who didn't start with the same opportunities or generic gifts as others to surpass those who had an advantage to begin with. I'm kind of that perfect example. some of you might know, I was born and raised, grew up in Pico Rivera. I had absolutely no college education, and my parents had no real money. We had shoes and we had clothes and we had food on the table. My parents didn't put cigarettes out on me, so I had a pretty great life. And yet, I've carved out a pretty awesome life, starting from pretty much nothing, with this philosophy, basically what Zig Ziglar had said. And that was, if you help enough people get what they want, you can have all you want. And that's what this workshop is about. If I can help you do a few more transactions, and you can help your clients get into another piece of property that maybe they couldn't have before, then we all win. Right? Say yes. Yes. That's what this is all about. That's what we're going to focus in on. So let's get started here this morning. Take out your business plan. All of you should have two things. You should have a business plan stapled together that says Business Plan 213 on it. And there should be a second page that says Path to Earning $1 Million a Year. Okay, you have those second separate page and then the business plan. So let's first of all, let's look at the business plan, page 1. Page 1 of the business plan. I wrote down here, elements of a great business plan. First and foremost, I think you need a dream. I think you need to desire something or to do something for someone. So we're going to work on the dreams and what's possible this morning. I think you need to recap what you did do in 2012. Then you need to write down some goals for 2013. The next step is the action steps that are necessary to complete that, and then the schedule to support those plans. And then the sixth item, circle it, put stars around it, is taking action. Single biggest problem that's preventing your success over time is you're not taking action consistently. Not taking action consistently. You take it occasionally, you take it once in a while, you take it randomly, but you don't do it consistently. Hopefully, that's one of the points that we'll get through today. So take out the sheet that says Path to Earning $1 Million a Year. I just want to make sure, after 40 years of doing this, and probably 30 years of managing and coaching real estate agents, I get two questions asked of me all the time. How do I make a lot of money in this business on an annual basis? And then what can I do with that money to grow it so that I can retire or be able to retire if I want to retire in the future? So is anybody interested in learning how to earn $1 million a year in real estate? Because I can talk about other stuff. All right, so here's what we'll do. All of you have past client and sphere. The majority of you, what I found in our coaching, the coaching that Bill and Diane and Frank and myself do over time, is the truth is you don't work your past client and sphere. at the level you should work at. So I'm going to walk you through a scenario on how you can make a lot of money in real estate. So first of all, on the year 2013, let's use the number of 200 past client and sphere. So just put that number in there. Some of you might have more, some of you might have less, but let's just put 200 in there. Frank, you do me a favor? You get the air turned, get a little warm in here. So put 200 in there. Now, we've proven over years and years and years and years of working the system with Mike Ferry, with working the system with other great real estate agents, my coaching time, coaching with the Mike Ferry organization, and my coaching some of the coaches with the Mike Ferry organization, we found this absolutely to be true, this fact. If you, write this down, email your clients weekly. Email your client. Don't think about why you can't do what I'm going to say. Just write it down and have an open mind. Well, that was another thing that you need to do today. Have an open mind. Okay, you could write that down too. Okay? Maybe that should be point number 1. So, write down, email your clients and past clients weekly. Send them something pertinent, something informative, and something timely. A recipe card isn't what I have in mind. Okay? I think you can send them a schedule of the Lakers occasionally if you think that's that important, but the truth is, that's not what people are looking for. They're looking for information about the marketplace. Now, in our office, we send you out something weekly that you can use to send out. You can copy and paste it and send it in. If you want to use that, great. If you want to create your own, that's fine. But send something weekly. Send a snail mail on a monthly basis, a just listed, just sold, and then call your client every other month. If you do that with 200 clients or your past client and sphere, and you do that every single month for the next 12 to 18 months, you will return on that 10% of that 200 people will give you business. So you'll end up with about 20 transactions, either directly or indirectly. You guys follow me on this? So I get 200 past client sphere, weekly email, monthly snail mail, every other month phone call. You do that over time, you're going to end up with 20 transactions on that. So now what we do is, as you're building your business, you're working just listed, just sold, expired, etc. You're talking to your past client sphere, you're getting outside business. We want you to add an additional 8 people a month to your past client and sphere database over the year. Okay, so write down 8 times 12 is actually 96. So I'm going to ask you to allow me to call that 100. So if this year in 2013, I add 100 people to my 200, in 2014, how many people do I have in my past client and sphere base? 300, write that down. You guys are pretty good. Now, I'm going to continue emailing weekly, mailing just listed or just sold monthly, and I'm going to call these people every other month, and that's going to yield me 10% of that 300, and that's going to give me 30 transactions. Write that down. Now I'm going to continue this process every single year I'm in business. Now, let me ask you a question. Look at the bottom here. It says 2022. That's 10 years from now. Who's going to be in the business 10 years from now? Raise your hands. You're all going to be in this business. This is a fabulous business. Are you kidding? You know, everybody talks about going out and buying a lottery ticket. I want a lottery ticket. I'm going to win 20, 30, 40 million dollars from the lottery ticket. Let me tell you something, ladies and gentlemen. Your real estate license is your lottery ticket. You have it. It's in your pocket. You can make millions and millions of dollars on this thing over time and keep it. So in 2015, again, 8 people a month, 12 months, 100 people. I wrote down here 400 past client and Sphere, 40 transactions. Everybody with me? Now, at 40 transactions, the average commission in our company runs about $10,000 average per closing gross. So 40 transactions would give the agent $400,000. Not bad, right? On our way to making some money, right? Say yes. All right, good job. Now let's fast forward this. I do my job. I add 8 people a month to this program. Not overwhelming. This is not a lot of work to do. I add 8 people a month to it. I do this every month. I send an email out automatically and for free every single month. I send out a little bit of snail mail. Okay, that's a little bit more expensive. But look, I'm generating money. That's okay. Got to spend a little money to make a little money. And then I'm calling these people every other month. And I do that in 2016, 17, 18, 19. In the year 2020, I have 900 people in my past client and Sphere and database. And you already said you're going to be in the business. So why wouldn't you do this? In the year 2021, you have 1,000 people. You send them an email weekly, piece of mail monthly. You call them every other month. They give you 10% worth of business comes from that. That's 100 transactions. 100 transactions times $10,000 per transaction is $1 million in gross close commission. It's right there. Question, why wouldn't you do that? Second question, will you do this? Hello? Yes. Why not? What else you got to do? What else do you have to do? This is that simple. Now, those of you that have been in the business 8, 9, 10, 15 years, and you haven't been doing this, are probably sitting there being pretty upset with yourself. But let me tell you something. The mega producers, the people that we call the legends in the business, and I'm not talking about the flash in the pan REO guys and gals. I'm talking the people that have been around for 15, 20, 25 years that built their business and started the same place as all of us. I'm talking about the legend agents. Why do you think they make $1 million a year? It's this program, ladies and gentlemen. It's this program. The Neil Weichels, the Marty Rodriguez's, the Karen Bernardi. This is where the money comes from. It comes from this kind of a program. Simple, not fancy, little bit of work. So, show of hands, who's going to commit to doing this in 2013? Okay, I got 100%. Let's go home. Yoo-hoo! We don't need anything else. We're going to make $1 million this year. That's the plan. So, now we made $1 million. Or we're making money along the way. Maybe we're in year 4 or 5. We're making $300,000, $400,000, $500,000 a year. We're cooking along. Second question comes, always asked, is okay, now how do I get rich in this business? You know, I see guys flipping properties, and I see these guys doing this and buying this and doing this kind of stuff. I'm going to share with you a program that I think all of you should do. Most of you won't do because it's not sexy and cool. Okay? But every single one of you should do it. Guaranteed won't be an issue. Turn that piece of paper over. How to get rich in this business. Real simple. Just turn that paper over. Start a program. Earn the money we're talking about here. Live below your means. By the way, that's part of my conversation we're going to have today. Don't live at your means or above your means. Live below your means so that at the end of the day, you've got some extra cash that you can invest in real estate. Here's what I want you to do. Over the next 15 years, I want you to buy one house a year. I want you to put 20 to 25% down so that the property has to break even. No negative cash flow. You have to buy a decent home in a decent neighborhood in decent condition. You do not have to steal it. If you do, great. But it's not a prerequisite. It's a simple process here. Everybody with me? So 25% down in most neighborhoods will buy you a single family home that will break even. And if you don't want to manage it, there's probably enough money in there to give a manager the property, certainly after the first year. Then what I want you to do is, so year one, you're going to buy this property, and year two, you're going to buy the property. You're going to rent the property out, and the goal here is to pay the property off in 15 years. Now, you're going to put a 30-year mortgage on it, because there may be some months where it's going to be tight, or the house might be vacant, and you don't want to get strapped in there. So put a 30-year mortgage on it. That's okay. But the goal is to pay it off. Don't take a dollar from the cash flow of the property. Push all the cash flow of the property into paying the mortgage off over the next 15 years. Everybody with me? Okay? You want to live on money, you earn it. Passive income stays in the properties. Don't live on it. Don't take a vacation. Don't go off to the Netherlands or someplace like that. The money stays in the property. You want to go on a trip? You want to buy a nice watch? You want to buy a nice car? Go sell another house. Simple. Discipline, but simple. Okay. So, at the end of 15 years, let's say you're 40 years old today. And we fast forwarded 15 years, and on your 55th birthday, okay, now I get that in your 40s, you can't see 55. I get that. I really do. Okay, but let me ask you a question. You're either going to be 55 or you're going to be dead. Now, is there a third option? You're going to be 55 or you're not going to be here. You everybody with me? Okay, so we get really clear on I might as well choose being 55. So I might as well start on the program. So I start on this program. I'm now do my program. I do my closing. I do my investing. I buy one house a year. Move it along. I'm now 55 years old. On my 55th birthday, my first house pays off. Okay, let's just use, for the sake of this conversation, I'm buying $250,000 house. Okay? Which means that you might not be able to buy them in Newport Beach. I understand that. But you can buy them in a lot of other areas that are adjoining. Pay $250,000 for the piece of property. The tenant pays the property off. At the end of 15 years, you now have a $250,000 free and clear asset. And let's assume, for the sake of this conversation, zero appreciation. We have no argument on zero appreciation. Agreed? Okay. We now have a true $250,000 asset that's free and clear. The $2,000 a month that was coming in, that was the tenant was paying us, that we've been paying the mortgage, et cetera, is now going to go into our pocket as passive income. So now we have a $250,000 asset and $2,000 a month coming in as passive income. Not bad, right? Okay, told you it wasn't sexy. Takes time to do it. Your 56th birthday, your second house pays off. You now have two $250,000 free and clear assets, zero appreciation. So you have $500,000 in true net equity and $4,000 a month coming in as passive income. Everybody with me so far? Okay, let's fast forward this 10 years. You are now 65 years old. I know. You can't see that. But I'm going to ask you the same question again. You're either going to be 65 or not. Okay? So let's assume we're going to be 65 because the option isn't really terrific. So now I'm 65 years old. On my 65th birthday, my 10th house pays off. I now have $2.5 million in true net equity. You with me? No appreciation, true net equity, and I have $20,000 a month coming in as passive income. You know what the good news is? I still have 5 more that haven't paid off yet. Isn't that great? So now we've learned in just the first few minutes what's possible in the goals. We can build a plan that can make us a few $100,000 a year, and how, if we choose to, make $1 million a year in selling in this business, and then to take that money and invest it in real estate very conservatively and end up with an amazing retirement program. Wouldn't that be a great retirement program? You're 65 years old. You have $2.5 million in true net equity and $20,000 a month coming in as passive income. Now let me ask you a question. Is that better, worse, or equal to Social Security? So what are your options here if you don't do something like that? Now, let me ask you another question. What if you took that scenario and went and talked to all your past client and sphere? Remember the 200 or 300 or 400 that we have? And had a conversation with them just like I just had with you. You know, Mr. and Mrs. Jones, you've got some equity over here, or you've got some cash in the bank. Why don't we do this? Maybe you can't buy a house every year, but maybe you could buy a house every other year. And over the next 15, 20, 30 years, you could help them have 4 or 5 or 6 paid off houses. How well would they like you then? Would you be their friend? Would that be a great conversation to have with a past client and sphere on an investment strategy? Absolutely. And it's built-in clients, because every year or 2 or 3, a group of those people are going to do a transaction with you, and that's part of that 15, 20, 25, 30 transactions a year that you're going to get from your past client sphere. Does that make sense? So how many are going to do that? 4 of you. Good job. Oh, this is a tough audience, Bill. All right. So we have the dream. We have what's possible. This is really possible, and people are doing this. It's happening today, over time. It can happen. It can happen for you. There's people in this room that are doing modified versions of this, and it's happening for them. So what I'd like you to do is just, let's stop for 4 or 5 minutes, and I want you to go over pages 2 and 3. I want you to sit down at the table And I'd like you to prepare some dreaming, some what's possible. So on these 2 pages, it's things I'd like to have. Write down 2, 3, 4, 5 of them. Things I'd like to do. This is over the next 12 months. Places I'd like to go, and things I'd like to change in my life. Take a few minutes and let's dream the dream. Let's dream what's possible here. Things I'd like to have. Maybe a new Rolex watch. Maybe a new BMW 635. You need to be specific. You know, maybe I'd like that Panamera. That's a nice car. That's a nice car. Things I'd like to do. Maybe I'd like to send my mom on a trip. Maybe I'd like to have money to send my kids to the school of their choice. Places I'd like to go. Maybe I'd like to fly first class to a World Cup soccer game. Or take my family on a Disney cruise. By the way, I heard that new Disney ship is spectacular. Spectacular. My wife is driving me nuts to take the grandkids on that. Go to New York City first class for a week. Go to Yankee Stadium. You know, this is something that was a lot of fun. Go to New York City for a week, stay at the Plaza or one of those great hotels, or the Oriental, Mandarin Oriental, and then go see a Yankee game and go see a Mets game, all in the same week. I mean, talk about fun. And go on the subway. It's great. 5 things I'd like to do to change my life. Maybe you want to stop smoking. Maybe you want to stop procrastinating. Maybe you want to lose 15 pounds. Write something down. Write it down for you. Dream the dream. Maybe you want to put a new fireplace in or change the flooring. Just take another 30 seconds or so, and you can finish this at home tonight with your family. Okay. Does anybody write down something fun they want to share? Nobody? Go ahead, Meg.
I'm going to London in April for a week. I'll be spending a couple of days there with the Think Big group with Mike Ferry at the Four Seasons Hotel, and then tour the rest of the city for the rest of the week. Have a lot of fun.
Good job. Good job. Are you going to Italy too?
Oh, I went there last year.
That was okay. Good job. Excellent. Perfect. All right. Good. Excellent. So tell me, anyone else have any places or things they want to share? Go ahead. 50-yard line seats in Denver and meet John Elway. Now that's a great idea. You know what? You got a lot of friends on that trip. Go ahead. Anyone else? Go ahead. Annabelle. So Boston in October for Jonathan's 15th birthday. 2014 World Cup. Entire family. All right. First class. First class. Come on. Do you think she should go first class? Woo! Come on. It's only a lot of money if you don't have it. So what we're going to do is we're going to work on a plan that ensures, you know what? It's probably 40 grand. The whole trip, probably 40 grand. Airfare for the family and the trip. I don't know what the tickets will cost for the game, but I'll bet you could do that trip for 40. Now see, that isn't that outrageous, is it? Possible. Yeah, it's like 4 transactions. 4 more. So, but 40 there. All right, good job. Shannon. So dump 90% of what's in your closet clothes-wise, and then go out and replace it. And you can only shop at Saks, Neiman Marcus, and right, I got it. All right, good job, good job. All this stuff is doable. It's all doable. We already showed you a plan whereby you just work on your past client sphere. We didn't even talk about expireds or for sale by owners or just listed or just solds or probate. We didn't even talk about that. We were only talking about just past client sphere. And then we talked about taking that money and rolling it into one single family home a year. Now, you guys could get this a little more aggressive. You could buy 2 a year. So instead of having, by my scenario, $2.5 million in true net equity, you could have $5 million in true net equity. And instead of having $20,000 a month in passive income, you could have $40,000 a month in passive income. I mean, if that's more attractive to you. Either one's okay with me. But just do one or the other. Your choice. Your choice. Your plan. It's your life. We get one shot at this. One shot. Unless you're Shirley MacLaine. Yeah, somebody will get that. All right. So I wrote down here, whatever you believe, think about this for a second. Whatever you believe with conviction becomes your reality, whether it's true or not. Whatever you believe with conviction becomes your reality, whether you believe it or not. I wrote down here, all beliefs are learned. We were not born with a set of beliefs. Think about that. We were not born with a set of beliefs. We were not born thinking all for sale by owners eat their firstborn. You weren't born that way. Come on. Think about that. It's ludicrous. You weren't born thinking that calling people on the telephone is scary. You weren't born thinking that door knocking is bothering people. You weren't born that way. Those were all learned. And here's my point. If you learn it, you can unlearn it. If you've learned it, you can unlearn it. Write this down. The most harmful beliefs are self-limiting beliefs. The most harmful beliefs that you can have are self-limiting beliefs. These are the beliefs about you and your potential that are holding you back. Most of them aren't true. Most of your self-limiting beliefs are not true. I'm a girl, so therefore I can't. I'm a man, so therefore I can't. I'm too young. I'm too old. It's too late. Self-limiting beliefs. I was born in Pico Rivera, ladies and gentlemen. No college education, nothing. And I'm telling you, no one on this planet would ever pay me in a job what I have earned over the last 40 years. No one. My parents didn't have money. They didn't say, here's an apartment building. They educated me. They didn't send me to college. There was no option for college in my family unless I paid for it, and I saw no option. I didn't see the need for it. Looking back, I think I would have probably been a little bit further ahead on certain things. Like, for instance, I didn't know how to do a spreadsheet until I was 35 years old. When I learned how to do a spreadsheet, I got dangerous. But I was 35 before I learned how to use a spreadsheet. Now, I think they teach spreadsheets in college, right? Yeah? Actually, they probably teach it in high school. Yeah, that wasn't a good period of time either for me. I wrote down here, change your thinking and change your life. Change your thinking and change your life. If I continue to do what I've always done, we say this all the time, you've heard this saying, if I continue to do what I've always done, then I will get what I've always got, right? You hear that all the time? Okay. Not so in real estate today. Not happening. And some of you know what I'm talking about. You did in 2012 what you did in 2011, and you didn't make as much money. You didn't make as much money. You did what you did in 2011, in 2012, and you didn't make as much money. Let me tell you something. If you do what you did in 2012, in 2013, you won't make as much money. Now, I'm going to try something. You're going to have to bear with me, and I'm going to prove my point. Take a piece of paper and turn it over. I don't have a board to write on. So what I'm going to ask you to do is I'm going to ask you to write a circle on a piece of paper. Draw a circle. Okay? Circle. And in about 25% of the circle, take and cut about 25% of the circle off. So it's kind of like you have 75% of the circle left. Everybody with me on this? So 25 off. Okay? Now what I want you to do is in the 25%, I want you to kind of just make some marks. And those are going to represent superstar real estate agent. Just put 10 of them in there. Okay? Put 10 little marks in that side. That's superstar real estate agent. And on the other side, I want you to put an infinite number, I don't know, 1,000, whatever. Just put a lot of marks on the other side, in the other three-quarter. That's all the rest of the real estate agents, okay? We got superstar real estate agents in 25% of the market, and the rest of the people on the other side. The circle represents the marketplace. The number of transactions closed in your marketplace. Whatever your marketplace is, Orange County, North Orange County, San Gabriel Valley, Torrance, doesn't matter. It's your marketplace. It could be the entire Southern California area. It doesn't matter. It's your marketplace. It's the number of transactions that are going to close in 2013. Now, the superstar real estate agents, because by definition, they work on what they're supposed to be doing. They work on their practice. They practice, they drill, rehearse, they do their job, they do their prospecting, they learn, they go to seminars, they work on getting better all the time, are going to do in 2013 a little more business in 2013 than they did in 2012. You guys give me that? Little bit. Not a lot, but a little bit. And they do a portion of the whole market. So those people are going to do a little bit more business. So that business is going to come from where? The other part, right? All the other agents. Now I'm going to call those average agents, all right? You can call them whatever you want, but I'll call them average agents. So they're going to come from the average agent. So the pie didn't shrink as a total market. What happened is the superstar agents took some of the business, got more of the business, if you will, so that there was less transactions to be done by the masses. You guys with me? That's problem number one. So the market's not shrinking. I think the market actually will get a little bit bigger, but it's going to be taken up by superstar agents. It's also, I don't know if you noticed this or not, in 2006, 2005, 6, and 7, and 8, and 9, there was a lot of real estate agents that left the market. Everybody knows that? Hello? Yeah, a lot of real estate agents left the market, right? Well, I don't know if you noticed this or not, but those people are coming back. And they're coming back in droves. They heard there's business out there. There's deals going on. Woohoo! I'm going to come back and do some deals. Now, in a down market, it's very difficult for a niece and nephew, son or daughter, to get a listing from a relative because the relative doesn't want to give the transaction to somebody that isn't a professional. Will you guys agree? But in a rising market, where it isn't quite as difficult to sell a property, and things are getting multiple offers on them right now, there's low inventory, they're more apt to give a listing to a niece or nephew or son or daughter that just came in the business or came back in the business. Would you guys agree with that? So, now we have to add more people to our average agent pool. The market isn't shrinking, but the number of transactions possible for you to get is. Do you guys get this? There's only one way for you guys to beat this, and that is do what we're talking about for the next 12, well, actually the rest of your career. But the only way to form the market and take that business back and have those opportunities is to get yourself out there in front of the public more often. Because you are going to lose some of what we'll call the low-hanging fruit. The deals you might have gotten before that were niece and nephews. Let me tell you something. I don't have a script or a dialogue that's foolproof against a niece or a nephew. I just don't. When it's family and they want to give it to family, there's not much you can do. You guys agree or disagree? Not much. So you got to go find another deal. You got to be prospecting. You got to be working. You got to be looking for other transactions. You got to be beating the bushes. That's where the business is going to come from. Does this make sense? Do you find that a little bit helpful? Good. Okay. That's why I say that doing what you did last year isn't going to get you what you want this year. You have to do more. That's the point. Get that. If you don't take anything else from this meeting and you want to do this, you'd better step it up. Because if you continue doing what you've always done, you will not get what you've always got. So I won't beat that into the ground anymore. Okay, let's look at page 4. Business plan recap. Some of you, most of the agents at Century 21 Masters, have their numbers analyzers, and they can go in there and keep that, and they have that information. We have it for you. So you can take a look at it and be able to recap it. If you've done this, if you're part of the Mike Ferry organization and you're in business planning or Premier Business Coaching, you do that with him too. Now, some of you might be doing this anyway, but whether you're with our organization or with the Mike Ferry organization or any of the other organizations that do this, or if you're just out there by yourself, you've got to keep track of your numbers. If you don't have the numbers, and I'll show you what that means in a little bit, you've got to keep track of them. So the question is, how many hours did you spend meeting people? How many contacts did you make? This is on page 4. Reviewing page 4. How many expireds did you visit? How many homes did you preview? How many listing appointments did you go on? How many listings did you take? How many buyer sales did you do? And then on page 5 in the packet, it's where your business came from. We all think we know where our business came from, but the truth is when you actually break each transaction down and you look at that quarterly or certainly annually, you find some very interesting information. So make sure you're tracking where your business came from. Example, you may be working hours and hours and hours and hours on trying to get expireds listed, and at the end of the year did 10 transactions, 2 of which came from expireds, 8 came from past client sphere. And yet, you spent 400 hours prospecting expireds. pretty inefficient time. Would you agree? You need to know that. Is that important to know? I would like to know that, absolutely. I need to know, hey, wait a minute. I spent 400 hours and got 2 transactions from that. That's probably not a good use of my time. So I need to analyze it. I need to see what's going on. Doesn't mean you should stop doing it. It means you need to get better at it. Maybe try some different approaches, do some different things, some things that we can talk about or you can talk about with your coaches. But where your business came from, and then that's 2012, where your business came from, and then kind of a projection of where you'd like your business to come from in 2013. Well, gee, I did 2 transactions on expired last year. I'd like to do 6 or 8 of those this year. Maybe last year I did 8 or 9 past client and sphere. This year I'd like to do 15 or 20. If you use Neil's number and I got 200 past client and sphere, then he's saying if I do this, I should get 20 from there. So maybe I need to put down that I'm going to get 20 from that. And all I have to do is tweak it up just a little bit. So that's one of the other things that we need to work on there. Okay? Where do you think business is going to come from? How many deals in each category, and how much each category will be worth to you in gross income? Is it worth your time to work on it? Is it worth your time? Absolutely. You bet it is. Okay. Now, I told you earlier I was going to take you through some of the numbers. So go to your page 6, please. Most of you, this looks like a foreign document right now. So I'm going to kind of walk you through it a little bit. This is a, can't think of the word, picture on a screen, what do they call that? Snapshot, screenshot. Is that what it is? Okay, this is a screenshot of part of the numbers analyzer that we use in the company. So this particular agent, who will go nameless, but this is an actual agent in our company. And these are his numbers for 2012. These are real numbers, real agent, real earnings. Okay? So you'll see the original plan, which was created a year ago in an environment like this. He wanted to work 220 days, 660 hours prospecting, 5,200 contacts, 396 properties he was going to preview. He was going to go see 660 expireds because that's part of our strategy. He was going to set 44 appointments. He was going to go on 50. I'm not quite sure how that got turned around. He was going to take 40 listings, sell 30, go on 20 buyer appointments, do 10 buyer sales, have 176 hours of practice, was going to do 12 open houses and close 30 deals, and gross $210,000. Everybody with me on that? Okay, that was the goal. That was the plan. All right. The actual numbers are to the right. Instead of working 220 days, this person actually worked 181 days. Instead of prospecting 660 hours, they actually prospected 396. They did 3,800 contacts instead of 5,200. So it's kind of, I don't need to read that. You can see that they were doing less, right? Say yes. Look down where it says closed deal. It stands to reason. The goal was 30 closed deals, but they were doing less through the year, so they ended up with 18 transactions closed. Instead of grossing $210,000, they grossed $145,000. Okay? This person's goal was to be Centurion. The goal in Centurion is right at 210,000 would earn Centurion. That's the top level of Century 21. So that was what the goal was. Now let's look at how this breaks down and how we analyze it and what could have been done a little bit differently, but because we know the numbers, we can walk you through this. Okay? So this person's goal was to prospect 3 hours a day. You see where I'm at? But they only prospected 2.18. This person's goal was to prospect 24 contacts a day, but they only prospected 21. 8 contacts an hour, but they actually were faster. 8 contacts an hour was the goal, but they were prospecting at 9.66, so they were a little bit better there. Hours of prospected to appointments done. Their goal was 11, but because they weren't as efficient, they weren't as good as they could have, should have been, it was taking them 18 hours. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you some what-if scenarios. This agent, if you take 5,200, look at the top, you see the contacts, it says 5,280 was the goal. With me? You subtract the 3,826 that they did. If this agent would have done their goal, they would have done 1,454 contacts more. Write that down. 1,454 contacts more for the year. 1,454. Now, without going through the math, I did the calculations, and they closed 212 contacts per closing. That's their number, so write that down. 212 contacts for every closing. You with me? So if you divide the 212 closings into the 1,454 that they didn't do, you come up with 7 transactions. Had they made 1,400 contacts through the year more, or gotten closer to their goal, they would have closed 7 more transactions. You with me? 7 more transactions at $8,500 is $60,000 more. That agent would have earned just by doing that. Okay, but at 1,400 contacts, that's a lot of contacts, Neil. Well, let's look at it. Now, the goal was to work 220 days, right? They only worked 181. So that's, no, don't do that yet. Let's just take the 181 days. Now, let me throw this thought. If he would have worked his goal, if you write down 365, it's the number of days in the year, you with me? And subtract 220 from it. How many days you got left over? 145, right? If you divide 145 by 30, how much you come up with? Let me do it. It's 4.8. So I'm going to round up, call it 5. That means that had he worked his goal, he still would have had 5 months off. You with me? You're looking at me like I'm on drugs. You with me on this? 365, 220 was the goal. We're saying only work the 220. Don't have to work the 365. You get 145 days off. That's almost 5 months off. I'm already planning for this person. It's in the plan. It's okay. Take the 5 months off. This person didn't even do that. They worked 181 days. So I'm saying it's okay. Let's only work the 181. Let's work the 181. But let's take the 181. The 181. I came up with, shoot. Hold on. Boy, it just went brain dead. 181 times. Okay, take the 181 and divide it by 3826. You come up with 212, right? Yeah, it's 212 contacts. Oh, excuse me. It's, I apologize. I'm losing myself even right now. Let me fast forward this. If this person would have done this and they worked 181 days, they would have, I didn't write it down here. Now, time off isn't it? If you take 365, now so I got it. If you take 365 and you subtract 181 days, that means they were off for 184 days. So he had 184 days off, which is 6.1 months. Half the year off in this plant. So the issue is, all he had to do, listen to this, is work and get 8 more contacts per work day for the 181 days he worked. And he would have been able to have 7 more closed transactions. 1 hour more for the 181 days. Interesting, isn't it? Now let me ask you guys a question, 1 second. I don't want to go into the exact numbers here. You can see me afterwards because doing this like this is a little bit difficult. But I want the concept. If I could sit down with you and show you these numbers and say, look, all you need to do is work the same 181 days, put in 1 more hour per day, and you'd make an extra $60,000 a year and hit your goal, would you agree to do that? Yes or no? You'd probably agree to do that. That's why we need the numbers. That's why we have to have the numbers. That's why you have to track the numbers. And then we can follow up in what's going on there. So I'll go back to these at another time. Okay. Let's go to your page 7. Your page 7. Business plan goals for 2013. So the question is, now you've got a dream, now you know you can make $1 million a year, now you know what to do with the money. What activities are you going to do in 2013? What work are you going to put in? What are the numbers that you're going to work for? And the goal here is for you to work on these with your coach, at home with your family, over the next couple days. Get those numbers out. But what I wanted to do before I go out, I wanted to give you an example of how I would work with one of my coaching clients on a one-on-one to help them get to the numbers of days work. This is what Diane does, this is what Bill does, this is what Frank does, this is what I do with the people that we coach with. So let's talk about days work in 2013. That's what we're looking at. So the question I would ask them is, how many weeks a year are you going to what we would refer to as a Mike Ferry event or a training event? So most of the agents, the way we teach it, is that you should go to a Mike Ferrier type training event once a quarter. So that would be 4 times a year. So write down 4. And usually those events are for 4 days, but we never work the day we leave, and we never work the day we get back. Don't laugh, it's true. So write down 1 week. So we have 4 weeks that we're going to start with right there. So 4 weeks off for those events. Now, the next question I would ask is, how many holidays, Thanksgiving, 4th of July, Memorial Day, Labor Day, Chinese New Year, whatever you're involved with, what days do you take off a year for holidays, either yourself or with your kids, and go away? Now, if you're like most people, you usually take most holidays off, And if you do that, write down 2 weeks. There's 2 weeks of holidays, okay? The way it works out. Third thing I want you to write down is how many weeks for vacation through the year. Okay, some people don't go on vacation because they're too busy trying to make money, because they didn't do what they're supposed to do when they're supposed to be working, and then their family's upset with them because they're working when the family needs them, and then they're not doing what they're supposed to be doing over here, and it's really a big problem. So how many weeks for vacation? So I wrote down here 2, at least 2 weeks combined. Not necessarily in a row, because you got to be careful about momentum, and we'll talk about that at another time. But certainly a couple of weeks off. So that's another 2 weeks. And then how many times, this is a big question, this one's important. How many times a year do you show up for work, but your brain doesn't? Come on, I've been doing this for a long time. I get this. How many times a year do you show up for work? Here I am, but your brain doesn't. You know, you're fooling around, you're playing on the computer, you're on Facebook, you're checking emails. You know, worse than checking emails is deleting emails and organizing emails. You know, you just sit there in a daze. Put this one over here. So I learned something new on Google. I don't know if you knew this or not, but on Google you can take the More button and push it down, and then you can task an item, like an email you want to come back to. You can hit the task button and it puts it in the task category, so then you can have these 3,000 tasks to do. But at least it gets it out of your email account. It's kind of cool. Whew. Okay. So I wrote down here, if you do 1 day a month, 1 day a month, and we're probably more guilty than that, but if you did 1 day a month, that's 12 days in the year, right? So we're back to 2 more weeks. Think about that. That's 2 more weeks. Actually, 12 days could even be counted as 3 weeks, but let's count it as 2. All right? So I wrote down here, we have 4 weeks for training, 2 weeks for vacation, 2 weeks for holidays, and 2 weeks for the brain not working. That's 10 weeks. You take 10 from 52, it leaves us 42 weeks. We advocate a 5-day work week. So now you've got 210 work days. You guys with me? 210 work days. Now let's go back to the concept that we talked about earlier. 365 days in a year, 210 work days equals 155 days off. You take the 155 days, you divide it by 30 days, you're off for 5.1 months. I give you permission, everyone in our company, to take 5 months off next year. What do you think? What do you think? Hell of a job. And make a couple $100,000 a year. Whoa, where do I sign up? Because that's the deal. Now, the catch is you do have to work on the days you're supposed to. Okay, that could be a little bit difficult. But if you work on the days you're supposed to, the 210, and you do the activities you need to do that will line out in just a couple minutes, then you can do what you want. Pretty exciting stuff. So, at home or with the family, I want you to continue on pages 9, 10, and 11. Those are what you're going to work on at home. 9, 10, and 11. Those pages talk about you must get clarity. They talk about questions like, what are the top 5 things you learned in 212? What are the things you're the most proud of? I want you to write those things down because it's real important to figure out where you are to help you get to where you're going? I wrote down here, what do you not want to repeat in 2013? Great question. Answer that question. Whatever you did in 2012 you didn't want to do, in 2013 write that down. On page 10, where are you today? Describe where you live. Describe the relationship that you're in. Describe your income and your wealth, your spirituality, whether you contribute or not. And then I want you to describe where you'll be in 2017, 5 years from now. Project yourself out 5 years. I say this all the time. If you will do what others will not do for 5 years, you can do what others can't do for the rest of your life. If you do what others won't do for 5 years, you can do what others can't do for the rest of your life. It's a fact. So work on those pages at home. So let's take out your page number 8. Let's talk about action steps for achieving the goals. Action steps. We got to get into action. So this program, we've been working on this, for years. What we did basically is we took Mike Ferry's program and we kind of worked on it, massaged it, kind of made it a Century 21 Masters program. But, cut the top off if you're not with the company and just use it for yourself. I'm perfectly fine with that. That's okay. It's a very funny business. It's not a difficult business, but if you're not around other people doing similar things, you won't do this very often. That's what I found. I have shared for 40 years everything I do. I mean, you guys will see it on the internet. I have like 400 YouTubes up there on every sales meeting and everything that we do. I put it out there. Any broker, any manager, anyone that comes that wants information on how we do what we do, I'm very forthcoming and give it to them. Why? Well, that's the second reason. I do it because I come from contribution. Okay, you can't give away a kindness without getting a kindness back. You can't. And remember what I said. If you help enough people get what they want, you'll get what you want. So my job is to try to help you to do this. But what I found is what somebody yelled out, is that in 40 years, with 1 or 2 exceptions, no one does it. No one does it over time. This is the key. Remember what I said? Consistently over time. I'm the turtle, not the rabbit. I consistently do this over time, whether it's money, whether it's driving, whether it's commitments, whatever it is, I'm consistent with it over time. I will drive you nuts with my consistency. But if you will get it, if you will buy into it, it will help you change your lives. Absolutely. And those of you that won't, it's okay. We'll meet along the way. So we wrote down this program here. We need to get a detailed point on the plan of production goals. If your goal is to get 8 more deals from your past client sphere of influence, you need to write down the activities that will be necessary every day, every week, every month, as to when the clients will be contacted. I wrote down, when will I call? What will I say? What will I send out? Will it be mail? Will it be email? Do I have their email addresses? If not, what do I need to do to get their email addresses over time? But you need to start that plan. And we go through this, and each item needs to be lined out in this Master's Advantage program. We start with power starting your day. Work hard 5.5 days a week, 10-hour workday. Now, some of you work more. Some of you work less. But I'm a great believer in putting in what I call a great 8. The first 8 make you a living. The first 8 make you a living. What you do over that, what you learn, and what you work over that, that's how you get rich. The first 8, you make a living. I wrote down here, 3 times a day, you need to spend 10 minutes a day reading positive thoughts. This business will beat you down. If you allow it to, it will beat you down. 40 years, ladies and gentlemen. Okay? If I would let this thing do it, I would be on the ground crawling right now. And there's no way. Attitude, approach, expectation. I just won't let that happen. Some of my sayings on the walls here today as you walked in, you've got to be around positive people. You've got to be around positive people. If you're not, find some new friends. But you need to be pouring positive thoughts in every single day. I spend 15, 20 minutes, bless you, every day. 15, 20 minutes every day, even today, 40 years later, reading positive thoughts, reading things that are positive to me, informational to me, that raise me up, whether it's books I'm reading, whether it's articles, people will send me some information. Don't send me anything negative. Positive thoughts. You need to spend 15 minutes 2 times a day repeating affirmations. You need to spend 10 minutes 2 times a day reviewing your goals. You need to check in with your coach, our people. You need to check in with their coach at 8:15 for role play and begin prospecting by 9 o'clock. Those are the goals. You need to text me what's going on. You need to text Bill, Diane, or Frank. We've started. This is what's happening. Then text us at the end of the day. It's about accountability. It's about focus. But that's how you're going to get. This is a lonely business. You're out there by yourself sometimes. Work with other people. You know, if you're not with our company, get an accountability coach. Get an accountability partner. Work with somebody in your office. I wrote down here, build your skills and knowledge and mindset. We work on a group role play, half an hour daily, 5 days a week, with 4 different partners. We have an advanced script class that we do on Tuesday afternoons for an hour that I teach in Walnut. We want you to write your script out every single day. I'm going to ask you a question. I'm going to read through these things. I want you to think about this as I'm reading through them. If you did what is here on this list, 2 questions I want you to answer. A, is this stuff impossible for you to do? Is this stuff impossible for you to do? Possible, not impossible. That's the question. And B, if I did it for the next 12 months, what could I achieve? What's possible? How much could I earn? How many deals could I earn? And then a third question is, how would that change my life and my family's life? Attend role play. Attend advanced script. Write the script every day. By the way, talking about script, there's only 30 or 40 objections the world has. Okay? All your clients have basically the same objections. 40 years ago, my first listing was a for sale by owner, Northwest Whittier. I went out, I worked the listing, I got it. Guess what the objection was? What? They don't want to pay the commission. 40 years ago. When you go to for sale by owner today, what's one of the top 2 or 3 objections? Commission. It doesn't change. Learn them. If I wouldn't have learned them over the last 40 years, I'd be having a problem today. If you plan on being in this business more than 2 more weeks, if you plan on being in this business, learn this stuff. For sale by owners are going to object to commission. That's what they do. By the way, have you ever had an expired object to commission? Have you ever had an expired have a friend in the business? How do you handle it? If you're not practiced at a really high level, you got a problem. I want to think about it. You know, the other agent said, well, what about that listing that's sold for? You got to know how to handle these things. How much time do you spend every day, every week, every month on this? We wrote down here, watch Mike Ferry TV twice a week. Videotape and watch neilschwartz.net. Wow, I'm down here for 30 minutes. Mike's down here for 15. Good job. We better cross that out. He's going to be mad when he sees that. Want to videotape your role play weekly. Videotape your role plays. Videotape your listing presentation. Audio tape it. How do you sound? When do you plan on moving? How long did you, where did you move from here? Come on, guys and gals. You sound bad, you're not going to get the response. You sound great, you're going to get the response. And at the margin right now, that's what you need is the response. Okay, give you an example. Our hot market script, working phenomenally well for us. In fact, just as a side note, if anyone wants a copy of our hot market past client script or our hot market just listed, just sold script, just leave a card or something. We'll get you a copy of it, email to you. But think it's how it's presented. So the script goes, Mr. and Mrs. Jones, I don't know if you know this or not, but in Walnut last month, there were 64 houses that actually closed escrow. And 22 of those sold at or above list price. Did you know that? No, I had no idea. Wow. And we know when that starts to happen, 8 or 9 other houses are going to start selling right away. So I was curious, when do you plan on moving? So when I say it like that, what do you think the response is going to be? Or if I said it like this, you know, Mr. and Mrs. Jones, I don't know if you noticed this or not, but in Walnut last month, we had 42 houses that actually closed escrow. And during that period of time, actually 42 houses that actually closed escrow. And the really good news is that 22 of those sold at or above list price. And we know when that starts to happen, 8 or 9 houses are going to start selling right away. So I was curious, when do you plan on moving? Which one's going to get a better response? Just logically. Come on, just logically. But that's how some of you sound, and you don't know that because you're not recording yourself. Listen to it, practice, drill and rehearse, and then you'll get better. And then instead of taking, as in the case of this agent earlier, it took him 212 contacts to get a listing, a property sold and closed. What if it only took him 150 contacts? So that way he would either have to talk to less people or he could do more deals in the same amount of contacts. That makes sense? Say yes. Yes. Oh, you guys, I'm losing it. Let's move on. So review your listing presentation video with your coach online once a week. Record your listing presentation. Record every telephone prospecting session. Review 5 properties a day, 5 days a week, and door knock 10 around each property. Now, there's a concept. How many of you, don't show your hand, I don't know where this business changed. How many people preview property that they're going to show a buyer before they actually go take the buyer out, generally speaking? You don't have to show you. Most of you don't. Most of you don't. And yet, you're showing property to a client that's going to buy a $3, $4, $5, $8, $900 million piece of property, and you're bumbling around. You don't even know where the key is. You don't know where the lockbox is. You don't know where anything is in the property. You're not opening the drapes right. You know, maybe it's got a fantastic view, and you don't even know that. Maybe it's a dump, and you don't know that. You know, and your client's mad at you for taking them to a dump. You didn't even know that. You've got to be doing these kinds of things. And then door knocking 10 houses around it. It's phenomenal. It's fantastic. Get more business. We wrote down here, participate in a phone blitz or door blitz every week. And in our company, we phone blitz Tuesday in Covina and Walnut, and Thursday in Irvine, and on Friday in Walnut and Covina. So it's 3 hours, focused, like-minded people. You bring your leads. People ask us all the time, why would you open that up to agents that aren't with your company? Because there's no obligation. If you don't work for Masters, you can still come to these phone blitzes, use our phones, etc. We even actually buy lunch, okay? The reason we want you there is really simple. We get our people there on a regular basis, but we need new blood, new energy to keep the energy going in the room. You get it? So you really help us by coming and calling and doing. And some agents actually get listings and make sales and do transactions. We're not going to bug you. We're not going to put the arm on you, or wrestle you down and try to hire you or something like that. We don't do that. Okay, that's not our style. If you see something you like, great, call us. If not, we're perfectly fine with that. Action plan. What are you going to do? How are you going to do it? How is this going to be set up? Next point is going to be your schedule. All right, Neil, that's great. How am I going to put that page into my schedule and still have a life? So we do this all the time. We work on it. First of all, you need to master the AM. I wrote down, master the morning. The most important time of the day is the time between you get up and noon. Write that down. The most important time of your day is the time that you get up in the morning and noontime. There is nothing in your personal life, I underlined this point, I started. There's nothing in your personal life or your business life that can't wait until noontime. Your morning schedule should be untouchable and intense. You get up in the morning, you exercise, you do your role play, you do your affirmations, you go over to get on the phone, and just before you get on the phone, you check voicemail. What's generally on voicemail? What? Well, I guarantee you, 99 and 9/10% of the time, it's not going to be the client you talked to last night saying, oh my God, that was by far the most outstanding presentation I have ever seen in my entire life. I was riveted for 3 hours. Thank you. No, it probably goes like this. Neil, this is Johnny. We were thinking, we want you to hold off a little bit on the listing that we signed last night. Maybe it isn't the best time. We have a couple of questions, whatever it is. You are not going to get a congratulations. You are going to get something negative. Why would you open yourself up for that and check your voicemail? Because the minute you do that, you will stop being focused on doing your job in the morning, and all that's going to be on your mind is how to try and fix that listing. Make sense? Get the morning right. All the superstars do. You can't talk to them in the morning. It's a great time. You can't talk to them. I play a game with some of the super duper stars, and I'll call them, just call them and see if they'll answer. It's true. It's true. And they'll answer, and I'll say, gotcha. And then I hang up. They're pissed. In the morning, the most important time. Don't blow it. The afternoon schedule should be set aside for follow-up, previewing property, pre-qualifying buyers and sellers, and going on appointments. Let me tell you something. Here's what I know for a fact. You're going to tell me, what about the deal that's going south? If I don't talk to the escrow person, if I don't do this, if I don't do that. Here's what I know. You prospect for 2 or 3 hours in the morning, and you do that for 210 to 240 days over time, absolutely focused, you are not going to have to worry about one deal falling out of escrow. You are not. A. B. If that deal falls out of escrow before you can get to the escrow people or the lender or whatever you're going to do by 11:30, there wasn't very much you could do anyway from 9 to noon. You get it? Because that deal's going south anyway. Now, you think you can fix it because you're a great salesperson. But the truth is, most of us can't. But we think we can. So then we use that morning time. It gets all off track. We have to have that deal closed. Our mortgage payment is tied to that transaction because we didn't do what we were supposed to be doing for the other 210 work days. And now we've got to focus on that. You're screwing yourselves up. This makes sense. Because I got some other stuff we could talk about. Okay. So I wrote down here, we must create a schedule and follow it. And for those of you that at the Century 21 Masters, write this down on Tuesday, the 17th. I guess that's next Tuesday? No. No, it's next Tuesday. So what's that date? Wait a second. Bill, what is it? What's the date of the class? The scheduling class. Tuesday the 29th? Tuesday the 29th. Sorry about that. Tuesday the 29th. Thank you. Tuesday the 29th at noontime in Walnut. Schedule. Don't be late. So the next point is take action. I wrote down here, we are in the meet the people business. We are in the meet the people business. Think about this. No appointments, no sales. Get it? If you are not on an appointment, you cannot make a sale in this business. It just can't happen. I wrote down here, we have to be fanatical in calling our leads faster and more often. We have to be fanatical in the taking action part of calling our leads faster and more often. And I wrote down here, meaning that we must close 3 to 7 times on every call while working to get the appointment. We are stopping too early. We are stopping too early. When you ask somebody for an appointment and they say no, and you say okay, you have stopped too early. You have to keep closing on that person until you can get the lead and close it. I wrote down here a question. How many deals have you lost from not following up enough? Write down the number. How many deals, let's say in the last 6 months, how many deals have you lost from not following up enough? Now, right, everybody got a number? How big is the number? Huh? 2, 0. So every time, now, what's your average commission? Multiply that number that you wrote down times your average commission. So if your average commission is $10,000 and you blew 2, that cost you 20 grand. You guys with me? So here's another question. How many leads have you lost from over following up? How many leads, and there are going to be a few of you here that have over followed up and lost a lead. But the truth is, how many leads over time, 210 work days, 220 work days, have you lost in your career from over following up? Write that down. I wrote down here, you can't skip a level of experience or of learning. I have to be able to make the connection. You have to be able to make the connection between the activities I'm involved with and the results I'm getting. The activities I'm involved with and the results I'm getting. We've got to be able to make that connection. I've got to remove my options every day that get into my way. I have to stop letting garbage get in the way. Garbage. And you can read page 12 for more garbage. But checking messages, answering the phone, getting in late, not exercising, not practicing, showing property instead of prospecting. I wrote down here, the first step to overcoming call reluctance is to admit that you suffer from it and recognize that it's keeping you from earning what you're worth. You believe you can't make phone calls. You believe that you can't get business from the phone. That's a limiting, self-limiting belief. And that is costing you a bloody fortune. Get away from that. I wrote down here, start each prospecting and follow-up session with an exact goal or purpose. Every day as you go to work, you have two options. Option 1, do something productive. Option 2, do something non-productive. Those are your two options. Write that down. Focus in on that. Let's wrap it up. I can tell when the audience is restless. I wrote down here, write down enthusiasm, intensity, and energy. Write down enthusiasm, intensity, and energy. In most cases, okay, this is critical. Enthusiasm, intensity, and energy. In most cases, the only thing that differentiates you from the competitors is your energy and your intensity. The only thing that differentiates you from your competitors is going to be your energy and your intensity. Think about it this way. Most agents have access to the MLS, right? Most agents can put up a for sale sign on the property, right? Say it. Most agents do some kind of advertising, and most agents can install, if they choose, some kind of a lockbox on the property. And most agents have a strong local company image. Then here's the question. If that's all true, then what's the difference between you and other real estate agents? What is the client buying? I submit to you, they are buying your energy. Have some. Write down, people don't pay for average. People do not pay for average. People don't go looking for a mediocre restaurant or an average movie. Sellers don't award the listing to an average agent. Clients don't give the contract to an agent doing an adequate job. They give it to the agent who they think will do a fabulous job. Are you average or are you above average? How does the client know? How does the client know? How do you communicate this to them? Think about this. In my book, this is probably the single most important thought I'm going to give you today. In my book, failure is not hitting your goal. Failure is not hitting your goal. Failure is not doing the activities necessary on a day-to-day basis to accomplish your goal. There is no shame in not hitting your goal. The shame is in not doing the work required to accomplish your goal. For that, there is no excuse. Ladies and gentlemen, today matters. Today matters. How you spend the next 24 hours working on your plan, your business, your thoughts, your dreams for your family will say volumes about what's going to happen to you, that business, over the next 12 months. Are you going to get up early and work out and have energy for the day? Or will you have the discipline to role play, and at what level? Are you going to start prospecting on time? Will you call the people you're supposed to? And will you call them with intensity and purpose? Are you going to take time to preview property today? Or will you spend time listening to tapes, reading them, and working on your mindset? Are you going to complete this business plan? 3 of you. Great. I wrote down, I am the most important asset I have. Not my money and not my family. It starts and ends with me. Too much freedom now, meaning not prospecting, not being disciplined, not doing your plan, not working on your schedule, equals long-term pain and suffering. It means you have debt. It means you have no savings. It means you have no schedule. It means you're renting instead of buying. It means you don't have a retirement plan set up. I wrote down here, discipline. Discipline now. Prospecting. Completing your plan. Doing what you're supposed to do when you're supposed to do it. Equals freedom later. Money in the bank. No debt. Owning your property free and clear. I'll say it again. If you will do what others won't do for 5 years, you can do what others can't do for the rest of your life. And let's go out and have a fabulous year. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.